relationships, you got to know the difference between who God is and who man is. All right, and this controlling, egotistical, arrogant, defiant kind of dictatorship world, mindset, culture that we're living in, you need to know that God is God and man is man, and there is a difference. There is a major difference. You all never get it mixed up. Don't get confused. Don't let no ever tell you or make you think or to believe they're on equal par with the Creator. All right, it's so important that it's a basic biblical fact and a truth that we got to embrace, we got to know, and we got to accept. And then when we do that, what it does, it enhances our faith and enhances our confidence in God and who God is when you understand. Because if you bring the Greek mythology always attempted, and then there's some other Arminianism. There's a human and secular teaching. The Bible in the book of Acts talks about the Epicureans, and there were other groups that try to bring God down to human level. And there's teachings today of persons who say to you, and I know is and what God can do, and God don't have to ask us anything. You know, he's self-existing. You know, Moses said, Moses, who should I tell Pharaoh sent me? Tell him that I am that I am. It was a big carte blanche, open statement. I mean, I can be anything and everything I want to be. I'm not just A, B, C, or Z, or W. I am what I am. I'm self-existent. You know, I do everything according to the dictates of my own will. It's called sovereignty. The sovereignty, the overall ruling, the all-powerful, omniscient, self-existence, total, God exists within himself. All right, and he's in charge. He's ruler. To be sovereign means he reigns, he rules. He is all that. He is, there's nothing higher than him, nothing above him, nothing equal to him, no one like him. That God is God, and that makes him different from humanity. Makes him different from humanity and everything else that he created, okay? And there's none that can equal him. There's none like him, none on this level, all right? And so when you look at that, and I want to look at Romans, the 9th chapter, Romans, something in Romans 9, and actually the 9th, and then we'll look at the 10th chapter in another light. But Romans chapter 9, Paul was arguing and teaching the Jews and speaking in Rome to those who were in Rome, and he was arguing about the difference between the law and grace, and the difference between Moses and Christ, the difference between works and faith. All right, that the book of Romans was kind of dealing with that. And he was dealing with the history of Abraham and the history of the Jews and Israel and how God dealt with them in the 9th chapter of Romans. Turn to Romans chapter 9. And but encased in Paul's argument, and then he gets into foreknowledge and predestination, because that's where I'm going with this, you all. The question is, if God is God, he does what he wants to do. He doesn't ask anybody. He knows everything. He's capable of doing everything. He's in charge. He's in control. Well, then if that is who God is and that's what God does, do we have a chance? Do we have what is man's right or responsibility? Why don't God make us do everything he wants us to do? Or are we doomed from the start? Is there a fatalistic mindset? Does man, human being, do we have any role, any say-so, any accountability in how we live, what we do? Because if God is this awesome, in charge, ruler, sovereign deity that's the puppet master pulling strings and making things happen, well then what's our responsibility? Should we then, should we cave? Are we at his whim and wish? Are we at the disposal of God to be and do and become? Is our life's purpose already set? Can we make or impact or affect decisions? Does it matter if we live right or don't live right? Because remember, it's this big superpower, all knowing, all doing, all seeing, all in control God that's so far above us. And what's our role as humans and our human responsibility in the whole framework or the whole life's journey of what do we have a say-so in it? Some person asks you, well, if there's a God, why does evil exist? And certainly God must have known that Satan or Lucifer was going to rebel and want to be like him. How come he didn't check Lucifer? Why did he make Lucifer? All those questions, you all, that we do have or will be asked you at the interview, that's what I'm dealing with. But first I'm establishing that his sovereign rule. Then I'm going to deal with what's called human responsibility. Then I'm going to show you, bring the two together and show you what the Bible says about both of them, all right, existing at the same time. With any questions? But I'm dealing with the awesomeness, the sovereignty, the rule of God first, for us to understand and know, and even with greater assurance that without a shadow of a doubt, know that God is God. And in Romans, the 9th chapter, this is where Paul was at in talking to the Jews in particular, one of many Bible passages to deal with the God's sovereignty. He's talking about God and Israel, God and the Jews, God and Abraham. He goes back in Romans chapter 9. Verse 6 and 7 talks about a Jew. Verse 6, he defines not as though the word of God hath taken none effect, for they are not all Jews of Israel which are from or of Israel. He defines what a Jew or Israel, neither because they are the seed of Abraham are they all children. But in Isaac shall thy seed be called. Abraham had another child. All right, what was his other child's name? Ishmael. Okay, who was Ishmael's mother? Hagar. Who was Isaac's mother? Sarah. Okay, but Abraham fathered them both. So if a Jew or Israel is defined by being a son of Abraham or the seed of Abraham, that then would make Ishmael Jewish and make Isaac Jewish. But the difference is, you all, and get this point that Paul is making here, is that in Isaac shall your seed be blessed or be called. Okay? God, if I can say it this way, God blessed Ishmael because of Abraham. Ishmael, all right, was blessed, became blessed, and became, you all know, out of Abraham came what the world religions we have now of Jew, Christian, and Muslim. All came from Abraham's loins, because that's the Ishmael side. And then the Jews became Isaac's side. And then you got Isaac, Jacob going down the line with David, and Jesus comes out of the Abrahamic line or Judah, the tribe of Judah, when you go down the line. So you got Christian from Christ, you got Muslims from Ishmael, all right, and you got the Jewish faith, all right, that emanate from Abraham. He's the father of the faithful, all right. Now, so Paul is arguing that verse 7, neither because they are seed of Abraham are they children, but here's what makes them children, because in Isaac shall thy seed be called. Verse 8, that is, they which are the children of the flesh. Children of the flesh was children of Hagar, Abraham and Hagar. Ishmael was a son of Abraham's flesh. Y'all got that? Because that was Abraham's and Sarah's way of helping God out. That wasn't the promised seed. That just came through natural copulation. All right, Abraham got with Hagar at Sarah's permission or bidding, and then here comes a baby. But that's not who God had promised to Abraham. Y'all get that? And isn't it interesting, even though God promised Abraham and Sarah, I'm going to bless your seed, that Abraham, Sarah, and Hagar got involved and tried to create the promise that God had made, and they still missed it. They had a baby, but it was of the flesh, not of the covenant, not of promise. Y'all got that? Not of God. And so you can't help God out, and you can produce a baby, you can try to do and simulate what God says he's going to do, but you can't rush God's blessings. And you got to wait on God. And even when you do what you do from human element, from human involvement, that doesn't make it God's plan. And that doesn't make it. Then other story in this, I won't dwell on it long. Other story is that God can take your mistakes and turn it into blessings, if he chooses to do that. That's what he did with Ishmael. That's exactly what he did with Ishmael. Okay, verse number 8. That is, they which are the children of the flesh, these are not the children of God. Talking about Ishmael. But the children of the promise are counted for the seed. The children of promise. Isaac was promised. Okay, verse 9. For this is the word of promise. At this time, this is what God promised Abraham. At this time will I come, and Sarah will have a son. That was the word of promise. You find it in Genesis chapter 21, verse 1, when the promise was filled. Verse 10. And not only this, but when Rebekah, y'all know who was Rebekah again? Whose wife was Rebekah? Isaac's wife. When Rebekah had conceived by one, she conceived by Isaac, or even by our father Isaac. Just stay with me. Paul is going through a history, bringing in the Jewish history to argue to the Jews in Rome that it is not Israel is not Israel just because of Abraham's loins, but because they're children of promise. And so he brings in Abraham had a son named Isaac. Isaac married a wife named Rebekah, and Rebekah and Isaac conceived. Verse 11. For the children, here it is. Talking about Rebekah and Isaac's children. We know what happens with Rebekah. Who is Rebekah's and Isaac's children? Who did they give birth to? Come on, Sunday school student. Rebekah and Isaac had two children. Jacob and Esau. Jacob and Esau. All right. That's what two sons that Isaac and Rebekah here. Listen, verse 11. For the children, Jacob and Esau, being not yet born, Jacob and Esau, not yet born to Isaac and Rebekah, neither having done any good or evil. Jacob or Esau are not born yet. They haven't done any good or evil. They hadn't committed no sin. They hadn't told no lies. They're not even conceived. That the purpose of God, according to election, might stand. That what God said was according to his purpose, election. This word election is dealing with the word ecclesia, chosen, called out, appointed, chosen, determined mind of God. That the plan of God, okay, Jacob and Esau had done no evil. They had been born yet, all right. But God had already elected and purposed and chosen and predetermined what was going to happen. According to election might stand. Not of works, not because Isaac and Rebekah got together, but because God had ordained it to be so. Not of works, but of him that calleth. He that calleth, he that appointeth, he that elects, he that chooses is God. Y'all with me? Verse 12. It was said unto her, it was said unto Rebekah, this is what God said to Rebekah, go back and read the story, that the elder is going to serve the younger. Are you all with me? Who was older, Jacob or Esau? Who's the oldest? Esau. Esau was the oldest, all right? They were twins, all right? They came out. How do we know Esau was the oldest? He came out first, or he attempted to come out first. How do we know he came out first? The Bible says so. And then when he came out, when he was coming out the birth canal first, all right, what did the younger one, Jacob, what did Jacob do? He grabbed his heel, Now remember now, at most, this is 9 months of gestation. This is a baby that's not been developed in both of them. Say 9, if she carried the full term, that Jacob and Esau are 9 months in the womb, right? And Esau is coming out the birth canal. Jacob grabs him by the ankle, by the heel. Listen, this is what pulls him back. According to what the Bible, is that what the Bible says you are? And then and so then Jacob comes up, but listen what it says. Just what it says. But it was already said that the younger, that the older is going to serve the younger. All right? That's verse number 12. Verse 13. As it is written, Jacob have I loved, Esau have I hated. Now that happened before Jacob or Esau did anything wrong. That's what the previous verse was saying. Verse number 11 says, the child being not yet born, neither having any good or evil, Jacob or Esau had nothing to do with it. God elected, God chose, God predetermined, God said it, God stated it, all right, that the younger is going to serve, the older is going to serve the younger. And it was God who, through the creation process, put Esau and Jacob in whatever order he put them in. Are y'all with me? That's sovereignty, y'all. That's God's sovereignty. Rebecca didn't have nothing to do with it in terms of the ordering of that. Neither did Isaac have anything to do with it. It's just the way that they were formed in the womb and created, and the way that the two embryos split. And who was in charge of that? Was the doctor in control of that? No. It was God that was doing it. He does. That's the T. He does what he wants to do. All right? And he does. He's in control. He's sovereign rule. And Paul is using this example. Follow with me, okay? Verse number 13. As it written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. Verse 14. What shall we say then? What we going to say about that? Okay. Is there unrighteousness with God? What you going to say? God did Esau wrong? Y'all know what happened when Esau sold his birthright, remember? Esau was the oldest one. Esau went into, Jacob made, Esau would make pottage, or Jacob would make pottage. Esau would be a hunter out in the field. He was the hairy one, and he was loved by, Jacob was loved by Rebecca, all right? And Esau was loved by his daddy, Isaac, because he went into the field and hunted. Jacob stayed home, was a mama's boy, all right? But when Esau came back home with this pottage or with this venison or with this stew that he would often make, and then Jacob would make, and then Esau said to Jacob, give me some of your stew. Y'all with me in the Bible story? And Jacob said, wait a minute. Jacob said, I'll give you my stew, some of my soup, all right? A lentil soup is probably what it was. I'll give you some of my soup if you give me your birthright. Birthright. You're the older brother. I'm the younger brother. For a bowl of soup, I'm going to give you, because he was hungry, I'm going to give you some soup, all right, if you give me your full heritage as the number one child, son. Y'all with me? And Esau sold out his birthright that God put him in first, but he didn't do it just because of bowl of pottage, y'all. Understand that before he was formed in the womb, God said to Rebekah and said to Isaac, all right, that the younger, all right, the older is going to serve the younger. Y'all see how election, how God's order? Okay, so what are you going to say? Verse 14, you're going to say, is God unrighteous? Are you going to say God is wrong, God is unjust? Why God do that? No, God forbid. How you going to tell God he's unrighteous? And a whole lot of folk think they're smarter than God. A whole lot of folk think they're bigger than God. A whole lot of folk think that they're better. A whole lot of folk think they got a better idea than God. God tell you to do one thing and you want to change it and flip it. That ain't really what the Lord meant, because it don't fit me, don't suit me. I can't achieve that, so I'm going to come up with my own philosophy and way of thinking, and I'm going to do it my way because I know more than God. Yeah, that's what verse 14 says. Let's keep on. Verse 15. For he said to Moses, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy on. God said this to Moses, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. Moses, I'll have mercy on whom I want to have mercy. I have compassion on whom I want. I ain't got to ask nobody. Nobody can tell me who's going to beat me up because I'm God, who's going to check me, who's going to discipline me. If I want to have mercy on somebody, it's my bowels of mercy and compassion I choose. Even if it's a person you don't like, God can have mercy on your enemies. Just because they're your enemies don't mean God cannot have mercy upon them. God does what he wants to do. You sitting back wondering, God, why you blessing them? You wishing them ill and harm and wrong, and God just keep prospering them. And then you think God is wrong. Now God said, let me handle this, my business. Yes. I have mercy on whom I want to have mercy on. God can save somebody that did you the most damage in life. Your brother, your sibling, your sister, your brother, your husband, your father, your kinfolk, somebody that stabbed you in your back, God can save them. And when he saves them, what you going to do? You going to get angry at God? That's why Jonah had the problem and went to Tarshish as opposed to Nineveh. Jonah said, them folk ain't no good. I don't like them, their mama or their daddy. And Jonah said, if I go down and preach, you going to save them? And God said, Jonah, you going to go preach, and I am going to save them. And Jonah tried to get around it, but God got away. I'll have mercy upon whom I want to have mercy. I have compassion on whom I want to have compassion. Verse 16, Romans 9:16. So then it is not of him that willeth, nor of him that runneth, but it's of God that showeth mercy. What this verse saying, it ain't got nothing to do with you. It ain't you who will and won't desire. It ain't you, the one that's running against God. Some folks running away from God, be running from God. You know they running from God. And God keep having mercy on them. And at God's set time, he brings them in. And it ain't for you or I to judge. It ain't for you and I to say, God, how long you going to bear with them? Why they keep running? They doing all this wrong. Some folks do so much wrong and get away with it and seem like they seem to have no repercussion. But he that runneth is up to God, and he that winneth, God is still in control. Yes. Yep. And then some can run 105 times. It's God. It's God's mercy. It's God's mercy. That's what makes him God. He knows more than what we know. See, God knows way the future. He knows way down the road. And God, we limited by time and by, God has only been 30 years. God has been too long. God has been 5. God said, don't worry about it. I'm eternal. That don't mean nothing to me. It's 30 years too long for you. But wait, I got his time. It's for the 31st year. And that's what, he that winneth and runneth, but he that showeth mercy is of God. For the scripture says, verse 17, unto Pharaoh, this is what the Bible said unto Pharaoh. Even for this same purpose have I raised thee up, that I might show my power in thee, and that my name might be declared throughout all the earth. Now, God didn't say this about Moses, y'all. He's saying this about Pharaoh. Y'all know who Pharaoh was? Pharaoh was an antagonist to the Israelites. He was the one that tetrified the Jews. He was the one that enslaved them. That was hard taskmaster. Turned his, he hardened his heart. All right. And God said, this is what God said to Pharaoh and about Pharaoh. Even for this same purpose have I raised thee up. Did y'all hear that? God raised Pharaoh up for his own purpose. Why, God? Why'd you raise Pharaoh? Why do we crying, the Jews, the Israelites, Moses crying, oh, we under hard taskmaster. Oh, we got to make bricks without straw. Well, we being enslaved. Oh, why did you raise them up? What was your purpose, God? That I may show my power. That I may show my power. God has fun sometimes with humanity, you all. You crying and bemoaning something, God sitting back saying, I got this. Pharaoh, I've raised you up to show my power. Can I just drop something on you? Could it be, perhaps, that currently, number 45, God has raised him up? We crying, we moaning, want to get rid of them, ain't no good. It's something every day, tweeting something. Oh, you can't stand them, get on our nerves, praying. For, I was talking to somebody, they said, I'm praying the president out of office. I'm praying him out of office. Well, you don't know. God said, I've raised them up. Why, God? To show that I'm God for my power, for my purpose in thee. And that my name might be declared throughout all the earth. Listen, this is sovereignty. This is God's sovereignty. Verse 18. Therefore hath he mercy on whom he will have mercy. But listen to this, you all. This is what we get. This is what we choke on. This is what we can't get. Okay? He has mercy on whomever he want to have mercy. Look what he does. He whom he will harden, and whom he will, he hardeneth. He had mercy on one. God applies the same rule of mercy to individuals, and he applies the same rule of hardening. He operates on the same principle. He has mercy on it. God told Moses, God told Moses, go tell Pharaoh, let my people go. Once Moses got finished arguing, he said, okay, God, I got enough courage, enough boldness. I'm going to go. I'm going to go. Wait a minute, Moses. Side note, here's a little asterisk. Before you go, Moses, he ain't going to listen to you. Why not, God? Because I done hardened his heart. What kind of assignment is that? God raised Moses up, tutored Moses, kept him, hid him in the bassinet down in the Nile River, kept him from alligators and let him live 40 years, be tutored under Pharaoh. He got discovered, in Egypt got discovered, all right. He went to the backside of the mountain. God said, come here, Moses, let me have a little talk with you. He said, everything you went through, I've been in charge of it. It's been for purpose. I've been controlling your life. Well, God, what you want me to do? I want you to go back to the house you was raised in. Tell the man who fed you, who schooled you, who went to private school, the one who secured you, who kept you, the one who took care of you, tell him that I said, let my people go. Moses had to be raised up in Pharaoh's house so he could go back and deal with the Egyptians, because he had to know Egyptian ways. He had to know how to go in and come out to talk with Pharaoh. You didn't just walk in Pharaoh's office, you know, in the kingdom. He had to know how to go in and go out. And God sent him back. Moses, I ain't going back there. He said, yeah, you're going to go. Moses, I can't talk. He said, that's why I got that covered too. Same time you was born, I already had Aaron born. And he's going to be your mouthpiece. So no, I'm not taking no excuses, Moses. But God said, but before you go, I'm just going to tell you, he ain't going to listen to you. Moses said, what you say? No, he ain't going, why not, God? Because I've hardened his heart. Doesn't that seem unfair for God to send Moses into the lion's den and go to represent him and tell him you ain't going to get nowhere with him? So God, why you sending me? He's in control. He's God. And he told him, I raised up Pharaoh. Pharaoh wasn't just born one day. I made Pharaoh come into existence. Why? So I can show my power. You don't know why God got folk in your life, all them nemesis and all them enemies, all your haters, all the people that's causing you, you know, there's a purpose and a reason. God got them in your life so he can show you his power. Not so you can keep looking at them. You're focusing on the wrong person, wrong thing. You keep looking at them and trying to, manipulate and trying to scheme and trying to come up with a plan and concoct. No, it ain't about them. It's about God. God says, so I can show you my power. I have mercy on whom he will have mercy, and he hardeneth whom he can harden. We have a hard time with that. God tell you to go witness to somebody. You go witness, you got to evangelize. Tell you go call somebody up, witness to your family member, and they don't receive you. And you're like, well, God, I know you told me to go. Why you send me to them if they ain't going to receive? Don't worry. I want to show you my power. I want you to understand and know when I really deliver them, I got to get all the glory. It's got to be God when they get delivered. I'll harden, verse 19. Thou wouldst say then unto me, why doth he yet find fault? For who hath resisted his will? If you're going to say, God, you're going to do that, well, why does God find fault in me? You raised up Pharaoh, hardened his heart. All right, you have mercy on you whom you want to have mercy. Well, what do I got to do with this? Why am I being used? What's my role and responsibility? Why are you finding fault? For who hath resisted God's will? Verse 20, nay, but, O man, who art thou that repliest against God? Yeah. A lot of folks, when people get in that, when they don't get the answer they want from God, then they turn to God. God can't be real. God doesn't exist. God ain't hearing me. God ain't listening to me. God don't answer prayer. God has turned a deaf ear to me. Who are you to resist God? Or to talk about God? Who are you to raise up against God? No, man. Who art thou that thou repliest against God? Shall a thing formed say to him that formed it, why have you made me like this? How you going to talk back to God? God, I prayed to you, you didn't hear my prayer. I'm mad. I shudder sometimes. And I understand from a human perspective, but I shudder from a spiritual and divine perspective when sometimes people got so bold, they say, God made me mad. I got mad at God. I'm going to be real, you all. I'm telling you, I was mad. Now, I understand where they're coming from. But also there's something that's saying, be careful. Be careful. I know you're disappointed. I know you're hurt. I know you've been let down, seemingly by God. But be careful. Yeah. That's what she said. And he said, you sound like the women you've been hanging around with at the mall. Sound like the folks you've been talking to on your cell phone and tweeting about. Well, I'm at work. You sound like a foolish woman. That's what Job said. He said, verse number 18, therefore have the mercy, verse 19. I'm in 20. Shall the thing formed say to him that formed it, why hast thou made me like this? Some people are not happy with who they are and how they are. They don't like their face, their figure, something about their skin, their color, their nose, or something. Why did God? How you going to argue with God? You are fearfully and wonderfully made. He made you exactly. Did you know when God made every one of us, there's no duplicate, there's no replica? All right, he broke the mold. He made you, and that was it. Even identical twins are different. That God didn't make two of you. And there's a purpose and a reason why God made you exactly the way he made you. And that's why you don't have to try to be nobody else. If God made you different from every other person on the face of the earth, don't you know that God knows how he made you and what he put in you? And there's a purpose. And listen to this. And when you try to be like somebody else, what you're really saying, if I'm going to be like somebody like Elder Simmons, and I'm not going to celebrate who I am, that means one of us are not necessary. Y'all missed that. If I can't celebrate who I am as I am, the way I am, and I'm trying to be like somebody else, when God made me just as I am, and I don't like how I am, so I'm going to be like somebody else, that means that one of us, if it's going to end up being two of us acting alike, talking alike, acting alike, doing alike, everything alike, somebody ain't necessary. Did y'all get that? Because he ain't make but one of you. You start being like somebody else, who's going to be you? What you going to tell God? God, you didn't make me right. You should have made me like Sam or like Lucianne or Lucille or something. How you going to tell God that? You ain't got to be like nobody else. Be who and what God made you. Because nobody else can beat you being you. Nobody can beat you being. If somebody can beat you being you, you in trouble. No, if somebody can be a better you than what you are, you got a problem. Oh, bless the Lord. Y'all don't like my teaching, but it's really. Hath not the potter power over the clay of the same lump of dirt or clay? Make a vessel that's a beauty queen and make another one that's a rag doll. That's I read that interpretation, but it's make one unto honor and make one unto dishonor. Because it ain't about you. You're not how you are. You didn't make yourself you. See, when we lose the sovereignty of God, we think everything's about us. Nothing is about you. It's all about the one that made you. And does not the vessel, the potter, have power of the same dirt, of the same clay, make one unto honor and make one unto dishonor? That's interesting that God can make a dishonorable vessel. Did y'all get that? See, we can deal with God making an honorable vessel, but we can't deal with, well, the same God and the same power and the same sovereignty and the same right and the same authority that makes an honorable vessel makes the dishonorable vessel. Yeah. The defect ain't in God that's doing the making. It's in the dirt. It's in some debris in the dirt. Oh, really? You ever sometimes ladies, I hear my mother and I hear others used to, they make a cake, you'd have made 100 of them, and for some reason, for some time, you make a cake, it don't come out right. And you come to find out, you say, well, the eggs were old, or you come and say that there's something, this was, or I missed this, or added this, or that flavor I used was outdated, or something, the flour was was cakey, and wasn't sifted. I used the same flour, same brand, but it's been on the shelf for a year. And I took it out, and I used it to make the cake. I knew better. I was too lazy to go to the store and get some more, because I always used that gold medal. But this time, Mother Fania, the cake didn't come out right. But you made it. The problem is not with the cake maker, truthfully. The problem is with the stuff, the ingredients you put in there. I ain't got nobody, y'all. I'm going to stop. All right. He can make a vessel unto honor. He can make a vessel unto dishonor. What if God, willing to show his wrath, get this, you all. What if God, willing to show his wrath and to make his power known, endured with much long suffering the vessels of wrath, fitted to destruction? What if God, wanting to make his power known, he was long suffering and he made a vessel of dishonor that's fitted, that's made for destruction? And some of these folk doing some things today, I just kind of think that, they were just fitted for destruction. He was, yes, he was. His name was the son of destruction, son of waste, son of perdition. Yes, he was. Yes, but that's interesting. We're going to get to it, because I'm going to get to that, because there's another question there. Did he have a choice? Did he have a choice? God said, I can make one unto honor, one to another. And if God, willing to show his wrath, make his power known, endure with much long suffering, he endured, he's a loving God, he endured with much long suffering the vessel that was made unto destruction, and that he might make known the riches of his glory on the vessels of mercy, which he had above prepared unto glory, prepared unto glory, even us whom he hath called, not of the Jews only, Paul is, but also of the Gentiles. And said he also, Hosea, I will call them my people, which were not my people. Because the argument he's making to the Jews, Paul's making to the Jews thought that the Gentiles couldn't be saved. They thought only those that are born from Abraham's loins could be saved. And Paul's arguing that not everybody who's born from Abraham's loins are saved, because Ishmael came out of that. And so the son of flesh, he said he wasn't the promised one, Isaac was. And then he says it's beyond even that coming out of Abraham's loins. It's those who operate in faith. I don't believe they knew. I mean, I don't know or believe that they knew. They may have known, but here's the difference. He was not Jewish. He was not Hebrew. He was not Israelite. All right, he was Chaldean from Ur of the Chaldees. But here's what they focused on. They focused on he had the promise. He had the covenant. He was the chosen one. He was the ecclesia. He was the hand selected by God. And God said, I'm going to make you a great nation. I'm going to make you a great nation. You ain't great. You didn't come from greatness. You came from earth. But I'm going to make you a great nation. That's the promise he made. Yeah. That's the promise he made. And so then God said to Hosea, I'm going to make a people who are not my people, and her beloved, which was not my beloved. It shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there shall they be called the children of the living God. And that's us, you all. And this is just part A of many to come. What I was trying to say, the point of this teaching is God is in control. God can do what he want to do. God is sovereign. He's the potter. He can make vessels unto honor, dishonor. All right. What is it why did he make Pharaoh? He said, so I can show my power. I harden his heart. God has mercy on whom he wants to have mercy, and God hardens who he wants to harden. But here's the key, and we'll deal with this next week. Here's the deal. Whoever God hardens, he still holds accountable for their choice. And truth of the matter is, and I'll deal with it next week because my time is out, whoever God has mercy on, just because God has mercy on you doesn't mean that you will accept mercy. Y'all missed that. He said, just because God has mercy on you doesn't mean you accept his mercy. It's a whole lot of people that God has had mercy and offered mercy to who's rejected his mercy. Had nothing to do with God's sovereignty and God's control and God's ability. Okay, it has to do with God said, I will have mercy. A lot of God has had mercy on, and they got to accept and embrace his mercy. And those whom he hardened, all right, the reason why he holds them accountable, and I'll deal with it more next time, is that they choose not to accept the mercy of God. So God has already set up, and God has already ordained and orchestrated and ordered and established hardening because they've rejected him. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely he did. Absolutely he did. That's it. He knew Pharaoh wasn't going to accept it. He had choice. He was held responsible for his choice. At any one of those 10 plagues, Pharaoh could have said, okay, I had enough, God. I'm giving up. But he never did. And God knew, this is the foreknowledge of God, you all. This is God. This is why he's God. This is why it's so bad. He knew in the beginning what Pharaoh was going to do. But he still held Pharaoh accountable for it. That's why he told Moses, let me let you in on something. He ain't gonna change. But you got to go anyway. Why you got to go anyway? Because I got to show my power. I've raised Pharaoh up for this purpose. There's some folk in your life, believe it or not, I mean, it ain't all the devil, you all. God put some people in your path. It's ordained to give you some trouble. It's true, you all. When you all mature and look at him, you done prayed about him, you done fasted, you done did everything you could do, you done talked to him, you done laid on your face, you done asked God, you done everything, and they ain't going nowhere. They ain't going nowhere yet. Could it be? You want to deal with that? You got to deal with him. God put him in place to show his power. And you're going to deal with it. And then God got him in place to help you stay closer to him. Because if you take away that hedge from you, you go hog wild crazy. You won't call his name. You won't pray no more. You won't fast. There's God he keeps a little twisting in your side, a little thorn in your flesh to keep you just lest I be exalted above measure. That was given unto me. I didn't seek it. Paul said, it was given unto me. It came, well, it was given to Paul. Paul, where you get it from? It came from God. Who was it, Paul? A messenger of Satan was assigned to me. was assigned to me. I mean, God, it was assigned to me. Yeah, yeah. He was assigned to me. So you keep on praying. God going to deliver you eventually. I mean, but there's a purpose in why you're praying. But if they stand there, y'all, just understand sometimes God, what you got to bow to is God, the sovereignty of God. What you haven't done, you did everything to try to get rid of them. What you haven't done is say, Lord, I throw my hands up. Not my will. You got me here, God. You know I believe and trust. You know everything. You're everywhere. You can do everything. Nothing gets by you. And since I'm here, God, you got to know I'm here. So I just yield to you. That's when you get your breakthrough. That's when your deliverance comes. That's when you start focusing on nothing but God. And you leave everything else alone. Just let God be God. Let God be God. Just let God be God. Job got to that point. When Job got to that point, y'all know God's, and I got y'all get y'all offering ready because I feel something coming on y'all. When Job got to that point finally of asking, he stopped asking the wrong questions. He stopped focusing on the wrong thing. He was focusing on his friends, miserable comforters. He was focusing on his plight, his dilemma, his stuff, his family, his trials. God said, it ain't about the what, Job. It's about the who. Y'all missed that one. You got to focus on me. To forget about them and the what and what's going on. Start focusing on me. And then God, when he focused on God, God said, Job, something strange. Job, go and just embrace your enemies. You read the last chapters of Job. Job, go and do kindness. Go and say something good to your friends. Go and encourage them same one, Bildad, and I forget, and Benahu, and whatever the other one is that was trouble. They couldn't talk. Job, you go to them and do something nice for them. And when he did it, y'all come on, get your offering ready, because when he didn't get his breakthrough, all that crying, all that moaning, all that woe is me, all that aching, all that laying in ashes and sackcloth, and all that questioning God, and all that, and nothing, he still didn't get his breakthrough. Because remember, God had a conversation, and God sicked Satan on Job. What you doing, Satan? I don't know, I'm doing what I always do. Have you considered my servant Job? You ain't got nothing to do. I got somebody for you to go mess with him.